oh man, Blake, you are in so much trouble. So much trouble. I'm very confident in the fact that Blake is the bully. Blake was absolutely using Taylor, and I think she's done this to a lot of people.
What happens when two Hollywood heavyweights, Taylor Swift and Justin Baldoni, join forces to challenge Blake Lively's narrative? Behind the scenes, blurred boundaries, fractured friendships, and a lawsuit that turns everything upside down take center stage. Was Blake the victim she claims to be, or was she orchestrating the scenes all along? The truth is more complicated than anyone expected.
Blake Lively was accused of threatening Taylor Swift to publicly support her or else release 10 years worth of text messages, amongst other things. A source came to Justin Baldoni's lawyer, and Justin Baldoni's lawyer entered this into the motion, which of course did not go well with the judge because of some procedural issues. So the judge basically says, I got to reject it from the docket, and it's going to have to be re-entered in some sort of different way because Taylor Swift's lawyer is involved in a lawsuit, a subpoena by Justin Baldoni's attorney in the District of Columbia. So there's some issues above my pay grade with why the judge rejected this right now, but the truth is the truth. And Baldoni wanted to get a subpoena of Taylor Swift so that he could look at this one email that proves that she was being extorted by Blake Lively. Well, who's the one who leaked this story? Candace Owens has it right here.
So who was the person? Who was Unexpected Dragon? Who was the person that very clearly after this Super Bowl thing got upset? Drum roll, please, you guys. Allegedly. Taylor Swift's father.
Of course.
Scott Swift. I love this so much. You guys, this means the mother of dragons, Khaleesi, forgot that there could be a father to the dragon, a father to...
And by the way, fathers know best, okay? I'm a dad. I've been one for a whole year now. And let me tell you something. Somebody gets in the way of you, your family, your loved one, you're going to do what you need to do. And Taylor Swift may have taken the high road, but Daddy Swift, not so much. The original Swiftie says, I don't think so. And let me tell you something. This father Swift clearly thinks the world of Taylor. I think he moved his whole business from Pennsylvania to Nashville, right? Just so that they could see the All-American Rejects. No, just so maybe Taylor Swift will be opening for All-American Rejects for all we know. But either way, this is no surprise to me. And there were rumblings that this might be the case, but good for him. Go to bat for your family.
Her dragon, Taylor Swift. This savage man, Scott Swift, is going to turn me into a Swiftie. When I say a Swiftie, I don't mean a Taylor Swift fan, okay? I mean a Scott Swift fan, because this was a sad...
Blake Lively, performer or director of intimacy, Blake Lively wasn't just performing in front of the camera. She was actively steering what happened behind it, particularly during the filming of intimate scenes with co-star Justin Baldoni. While the production technically had an intimacy coordinator on paper, sources say Blake's influence over these scenes went far beyond typical collaboration. She took control, insisting on overseeing everything from choreography to camera angles. Blake shaped each moment with meticulous care. This wasn't common, even among top-tier actresses. Yet for Blake, assuming such control appeared to be a natural extension of her creative authority. She became, in many ways, an unofficial director of intimacy, quietly shifting the power dynamics on set. Rather than deferring to the production team once the cameras rolled, Blake reportedly made firm decisions about how scenes should look and feel. She requested specific lighting setups to avoid overexposure, positioned Justin to ensure flattering yet respectful framing, and adjusted choreography to align with her vision of vulnerability, without exploitation. These weren't suggestions, they were instructions. Crew members describe how Blake curated every detail with precision. Every glance, every touch, every pause was calculated to convey emotional depth while maintaining her comfort and control. Her involvement was so hands-on, it occasionally paused production as she made real-time adjustments. One particularly revealing moment involved an emotional kissing scene. According to insiders, Blake stopped filming multiple times to recalibrate the interaction. She adjusted Justin's positioning to avoid shadows on her face and slowed the scene's pace to preserve authenticity. It wasn't just technical, it was deeply intentional. Her notes reflected a clear desire to protect both her performance and her personal space, and for a while, her assertiveness was celebrated. Some on set praised her as empowering, reshaping how actresses could assert agency over intimate scenes. She was seen as setting a new precedent, proof that a woman could protect her boundaries and still deliver a compelling, vulnerable performance. But here's where things get complicated. Now, with Blake accusing Justin of crossing boundaries during those very scenes, questions are swirling. How could someone who orchestrated so much of the interaction later claim she was victimized by it? How does one reconcile her firm control with the image of someone caught off guard or mistreated? That contradiction is becoming a central tension in the case, and in conversations behind closed doors. Was Blake's authority on set a form of protection? Or has it now become the very thing complicating her legal claims? The line between creative power and compromised consent is thin, and this situation is exposing just how tangled it can become. Whether her control was her shield, or ultimately her undoing, remains a question the industry is still grappling with.
See what Blake Lively's attorneys were quick to declare this a win for her side now that Justin has withdrawn the subpoena sent to Taylor and her legal team after the firm objected to the amount of the unwarranted fishing expedition, et cetera, et cetera. Lively's team was quick to reply with a statement and said that we are pleased that Justin and the Wayfair parties have withdrawn their harassing subpoenas to Taylor Swift and her law firm. We supported the efforts of Taylor's team to quash these inappropriate subpoenas directed to her counsel, and we will continue to stand up for any third party who is unjustly harassed or threatened in the process. Oh my God, what a big laugh. Now, the reality is why they did this, the reality of why they squashed this, they got what they wanted. Now, others have started reporting on what we alluded to when this initially broke, because I told you guys, look, I still firmly believe it, and I'm hearing it more and more through sources and people I'm talking to. There's only 3 people that this source who told Justin's team that they were extorted could be Tree, Taylor's manager, publicist, or her dad, Scott, or her mom. Now, I'm leaning more towards her parents more and more. Candace Owens just went the other day and heavily implied it as well. I think we're on the same wavelength. Now, again, they haven't themselves confirmed it yet, and they may not want to, but it makes total sense, guys. You got to think about this. As Taylor Swift is now being extorted and threatened with all these text messages to come out, that doesn't help her brand at all. And she's a very powerful business with a huge fan base. I don't think they react well to bullies. I really don't. And I think this was too much for the entire empire to bear. And so it makes total sense that her parents or her manager were the ones who went out and said enough is enough. And now that they've squashed it, now, like, really think about it. Now that it's squashed, which all these outlets are trying to say, oh, no longer subpoena, no longer. Why do you think that really was? Now, this is my opinion, my conspiracy theory. It's exactly what it says right here. They got what they wanted. Now, if they have proof that Taylor's lawyer was threatened, if that's all real, that will come out in the process. And they clearly wanted it out there to send a warning shot to Blake and Ryan, who think they're on the winning and they're winning, but no. If they can prove that Taylor Swift's team and lawyers, in fact, confirmed or gave them the evidence to show that they were asked not to do this, oh man, Blake, you are in so much trouble. So much trouble.
So much trouble. The complicated fallout between Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively. Justin Baldoni has long built his career around principles of respect, consent, and collaboration. As both an actor and director, he's become a trusted name in conversations about raising ethical standards in Hollywood. Known for fostering safe sets and encouraging open communication among cast and crew, Justin's reputation has been one of intentional integrity. When Blake Lively's lawsuit accused him of crossing personal boundaries during filming, the backlash wasn't just surprising. It stood in stark contrast to the image many in the industry have of him. But as with most Hollywood stories, things aren't so black and white. According to multiple on-set sources, the dynamic between Justin and Blake may have been far more nuanced than the lawsuit suggests. In fact, insiders say that during the very scenes at the heart of the controversy, It was Blake who often directed Justin, especially when it came to intimate choreography. She reportedly gave specific instructions on body positioning, line pacing, and emotional tone. One witness described a moment during an emotional scene when Blake paused production to advise Justin on how to adjust his performance, focusing more on emotional connection than physicality. These accounts suggest a level of collaboration and trust that doesn't easily align with the narrative of unwanted overstepping. Justin, for his part, was described as attentive and cautious. Witnesses recall him frequently checking in with Blake before sensitive scenes, asking questions like, "Does this still feel right to you?" Or, "Are you okay with this adjustment?" His team insists he sought her approval at every step. So how did things go so wrong? The contradictions are difficult to ignore. Justin's legal team has hinted that they possess evidence that could dramatically reshape public perception. From alleged behind-the-scenes footage to private text exchanges, the material reportedly shows Blake not only signing off on but actively shaping the very scenes she's now calling into question. And just when the situation couldn't get any more entangled, in steps Taylor Swift. Known for her close friendship with Blake, Taylor's involvement has added an entirely new layer to the drama, one that's deeply personal. Her decision to insert herself into the unfolding legal battle has surprised even insiders and may indicate that the divide between Blake's public claims and private actions is wider than anyone expected. As the lawsuit develops, so does the mystery. What really happened between Blake and Justin? And why is Taylor Swift now playing a key role in the unraveling of a once private fallout? The answers, it seems, are still waiting backstage.
Way the father, he's had some run-ins with paparazzi where he's kind of manhandled them, just politely push them, throw some, glitter bombs in their face or whatever, hey, look, you got to do what you got to do to protect your family. And you love to see it because here, this goes to show Taylor Swift, right? Think what you want about her. I think very highly of her. She's built $1 billion business and an empire as one of the biggest, if not the biggest pop stars of all time. And she writes all of her own music. So, as far as I have to say, beat it, right? We're all Taylor Swift fans here, whether you like it or not. And by the way, because I always rant on billionaires, but there are some billionaires who, by the way, I feel like should be taxed at a much higher level because of their wealth that got it in more ethical ways than others. And yeah, you could hate on her for all the jet fuel she burns traveling around the world. I get that. But none of that matters to this story. The point of the story is, listen, this is why Taylor Swift felt so abandoned and betrayed by Blake Lively, because she has to keep such a tight-knit circle because everyone's out to get her. She's like if you were the All-American Rejects times a billion, okay? Sure, they can sell out a backyard in, Des Moines, but Taylor Swift sells out stadiums, right? She is huge. She can't fly, Spirit Airlines. She has to fly private. She can't go places because she gets swarmed. She wants to give one person a photo, then there's a line around the block. It's insatiable how famous she is. By the way, for Donald Trump to say she's no longer hot because he said so is laughable. She could sell out any place in the world. Right? She could be like, all right, I'm doing a concert at the Sphinx. And then a bunch of, Egyptians are going to roll up there on their, look, hey, how are you? So anyhow, the point is, King Tut's going to come out of his grave. Hey, I'd love to see you, big fan. So the point is that she's huge. And for Blake Lively to cross her, this at least is reinforcement that her father and her family have her back. Of course, her boy toy, as it were, Travis Kelce, unfollows Ryan Reynolds. And this is a big, big story.
And by the way, I want to be clear. The reason why I respect this move is because it's his daughter, okay? I'm always going to respect a parent that is willing to burn it all down to the ground to protect their kid, okay? There's an element of that as a parent, real going to recognize real. And Scott Swift played me. He saw me. Scott Swift saw me. Fisherman always sees another fisherman. He saw me salivating for these text messages. He saw me being like, we're going to see the real Taylor Swift. And he was like, no, Candace, the world will never meet the real Taylor Swift. But what clearly set him off, given the timeline of you see a phone call allegedly coming in on February 14th, it would have been this extortion attempt. And I wouldn't try it. I keep trying to tell people, Taylor Swift's parents are not from nowhere. They're not nobodies. Scott Swift, what's his background? Stockbroker. Okay. Her family was so financially successful that when their little girl said, I want to be a singer, they up and moved her
That's what I said.
to Nashville.
I think Candace and I have, very similar ways of thinking. I could imagine Candace growing up played with a lot of dolls by herself. She just, and I don't mean this as an insult, but she's kind of got that creativity where she puts together all of the pieces in her head. It's not always right, but it's not always wrong either. And this is a big bombshell moment. So go check out that full conversation that Candace, I mean, hey, look, say what you want. You don't have to agree with her politics. I certainly don't agree with probably I don't know, 80% of her politics, but I got to recognize game where I see it, right? She's able to talk through the camera to her audience as if someone else is there, and they're not, and good for her. So she, came back from maternity leave to talk about the parental urges to protect your kin. We love to say.
Blake Lively's lawsuit raises questions about consent, control, and Taylor Swift's unexpected role. Blake Lively's lawsuit against Justin Baldoni centers on some of the most intimate moments shared between the actors, moments she now claims spiraled out of her control. At the heart of her allegations are improvised actions she says were never consented to, portraying Justin as someone who repeatedly overstepped boundaries. One of the most serious claims accuses him of adding unscripted physical touches during filming, leaving her feeling disrespected and blindsided. Another key allegation points to what she describes as excessive kissing, unplanned, prolonged moments that, according to Blake, disrupted her comfort and confidence on set. Taken at face value, the accusations are troubling. But things quickly become more complex. According to multiple witnesses, Blake was heavily involved in choreographing these very scenes. Crew members say she exerted an unusually high level of creative control, reviewing camera angles, shaping the pacing, and giving direct instructions to Justin about how each interaction should unfold. Her involvement reportedly went far beyond what's typical for an actor, with some describing her as like a second director. If that's true, it raises a pivotal question. How could these same scenes, ones Blake appeared to guide, later become the foundation of a misconduct claim? Adding to the confusion are past public statements made by Blake herself. In a post-production interview, she praised the collaborative environment on set, calling it safe and artistically supportive, even thanking Justin for honoring her creative instincts. That comment, made shortly after filming wrapped, stands in stark contrast to the narrative outlined in her legal complaint. Further complicating matters is sworn testimony from a crew member present during reshoots who described Justin repeatedly checking in with Blake during scenes, asking if changes were okay, seeking feedback, and making adjustments accordingly. The crew member recalled Blake giving the green light each time, even encouraging Justin to be more expressive in certain takes. Yet her lawsuit now paints these same interactions as coercive and outside the bounds of consent. These contradictions are fueling one of the lawsuit's most hotly debated issues, the question of intent and control. Was this truly about crossing boundaries, or about something else? While no court ruling has been made, industry insiders are beginning to speculate. Some whisper that the lawsuit may have more to do with off-screen power dynamics or career positioning than a clear-cut grievance. In Hollywood, legal action often doubles as leverage, and the inconsistencies between Blake's private behavior and public statements are raising eyebrows. And at the center of this escalating drama is one surprising name, Taylor Swift. Once Blake's closest ally, Taylor's unexpected involvement and rumored contribution of key evidence could shift the entire trajectory of the case.
Look, the reality check here is Taylor Swift is no longer friends with Blake Lively. I firmly believe this. And the evidence is here because People magazine, who has been typically Team Blake, has now turned and says their friendship has halted. The singer wants no part in this drama. I mean, who doesn't believe this? If you're a Swiftie, how do you not believe this? Of course she wants no part of drama. She never wants part of, she likes to cause some drama. She does cause her own drama when she feels it's justified. And she shuts down drama with her lawyers and her reps all the time. We're going to get to that in a second, but let's go through what this source says. Insiders shed light on where the friends stand. We know where they stand. They don't stand anywhere near each other anymore. It's halted, a source tells People. The two stars are taking some space, but their friendship isn't completely over yet. I think that's a nice, like, stop this, Blake, end this lawsuit, and maybe we'll see. But Swift was issued the subpoena, and of course that upset her. The battle against Justin Baldoni continues. Multiple sources tell People exclusively that the actress's relationship with Swift is struggling as the singer faces a subpoena by Baldoni's legal team. I'll tell you right up, it was struggling when she read Blake Lively speaking about her friend in private and using her, labeling her dragon. That's a pretty hard thing to not see again. Like, whoa, that's what you think of me? I'm here to be your chess piece and you use me to get how you want. Oh, and then by the way, it turns out Justin maybe wasn't as bad as you kept telling me he was. And I'm seeing all this stuff come in and it clearly is more complicated. And now I'm being dragged in to this drama. Imagine being a friend with somebody like that. You would not want to be involved with that friend. You would look at them differently. Of course, that's what's happening here. So yeah, the friendship has halted. A source says close to Swift. Taylor wants no part in this drama.
Taylor Swift, Blake Lively, and a Hollywood rift that could reshape the industry. Taylor Swift's involvement in the controversy surrounding Blake Lively was, to put it simply, unexpected. The two have long shared a close friendship, publicly celebrated through vacations, interviews, and countless shout-outs. But that bond is now being tested in ways no one could have foreseen. Swift isn't staying silent, and her actions are adding an entirely new dimension to an already tense situation. The bombshell? Taylor may have provided crucial evidence that contradicts Blake's claims, leaving fans and insiders questioning where her loyalty truly lies. Throughout her career, Swift has cultivated an image of fierce loyalty, defending her inner circle in interviews, songs, and public confrontations. Yet in this case, she appears to be aligning with director and co-star Justin Baldoni, prompting speculation. Is she siding with Justin because she believes the accusations against him are false, or has her friendship with Blake fractured behind the scenes? Some insiders suggest the rift may stem from Taylor's own experiences in Hollywood, where narrative control often blurs with manipulation. Sources close to both Taylor and Justin allege that Swift shared private messages between her and Blake that cast doubt on the sincerity of Blake's legal claims. These communications, though not public, reportedly include moments where Blake expressed pride in the very scenes now at the center of her lawsuit. If authentic, they could dramatically undercut her accusations and change the direction of the legal battle. But that's not all. The most headline-grabbing development is the possibility that Swift has also supplied behind-the-scenes footage. According to sources close to the legal proceedings, this material could include rehearsals or raw takes showing how Blake helped shape intimate scenes in real time. While it remains unclear if this footage will be made public, the mere suggestion that Swift provided it has sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry. Friends don't usually expose each other in scandals of this magnitude. Swift's motives remain ambiguous. Is she defending a friend against false allegations, or making a broader statement about accountability, even at the cost of a close friendship? Whatever her reasoning, this controversy has become bigger than any one lawsuit. It now raises pressing questions about power, trust, and the limits of personal loyalty under public scrutiny. The Blake-Justin case isn't occurring in a vacuum. It's unfolding against the backdrop of the post-Me Too Hollywood, a landscape still trying to find its footing. The movement brought long overdue changes. Intimacy coordinators became standard, contracts were rewritten, and a culture of speaking out was encouraged. But this case reveals the cracks that remain, especially when agency and victimhood collide. Blake's behavior on set and her later accusations have sparked heated debate. When a female performer exerts creative control over intimate scenes, it's typically celebrated as a triumph of autonomy. But what happens when that same performer later claims those scenes were unsafe or exploitative? Can someone be both the architect and the victim of a scene? That's the uncomfortable question this case forces us to ask. Reports suggest Blake took on a significant creative role during filming, even directing aspects of certain scenes. If true, it challenges traditional assumptions about responsibility. Should the burden of ensuring safety fall solely on male co-stars or directors when a female lead is actively shaping the moment? Or does creative control come with shared accountability? These aren't easy questions, but they're not new either. The industry has seen similar cases before. Powerful women once hailed for taking charge, later raising concerns about the very structures they helped navigate. These cases often reveal the contradictions Hollywood thrives on. empowerment sold as image, while systemic pressures remain unaddressed behind the scenes. What makes Blake and Justin's case potentially groundbreaking is how it could redefine legal boundaries. Traditionally, lawsuits about on-set misconduct center on clear-cut violations. But this situation sits in a gray area, one where participation and discomfort might coexist, and where the evolving standards of consent collide with creative freedom. Legal experts suggest this case could push studios toward new norms, such as requiring detailed documentation of rehearsals and actor interactions. That idea, once considered invasive, is now gaining traction. If the alleged footage from Swift includes unscripted or candid moments from set, it might mark the beginning of an industry shift, where preserving context becomes as important as protecting privacy. This isn't just about two celebrities caught in a legal battle. It's about how Hollywood responds to its own contradictions. Performers, particularly women, have been encouraged to reclaim their power, but when legal action challenges how that power was used, everyone is forced to reconsider the rules. Can creative control and consent truly coexist without clashing? What's unfolding now is a cultural reckoning. The Blake-Justin case echoes high-profile disputes where blurred lines, shifting allegiances, and ambiguous truths dominate the narrative. And with someone as visible and influential as Taylor Swift now involved, not just as a bystander but as a possible key figure, the stakes feel even higher. Swift's decision to insert herself into the legal process is more than just a loyalty test. It could set a precedent. Her willingness to contribute potential evidence, even if it challenges a close friend's version of events, raises questions about celebrity accountability, the limits of friendship, and whether fame still grants immunity in an age of public scrutiny. In many ways, this controversy is a mirror to the entertainment industry's most persistent questions. Who controls the story? Who gets believed? And what happens when the storyteller becomes part of the story? As the legal proceedings continue and new details surface, the industry watches closely. This isn't just about one legal battle or one broken friendship. It's about how the very people who helped shape modern conversations around consent and power might now be reshaping what those words actually mean. Blake Lively's lawsuit, Taylor Swift's involvement, and Justin Baldoni's defense have converged into something larger, a cultural flashpoint that could challenge Hollywood to finally confront the murky space between creative freedom and personal accountability. The answers may not be clear, but one thing is, this case won't just fade into the background. It may define where Hollywood goes next.
Let's get into it. Before I get to the update, I got to update you, for those that don't know. We reported yesterday that Blake Lively's lawyer allegedly threatened Taylor Swift and extorted her to release a public statement in support of Blake, or text messages would be released. They also accused Taylor of Blake of asking Taylor to delete text messages. This was the original letter that was sent by Brian Friedman. Well, Blake Lively's team was very quick to respond. I've never seen them respond so quick because this headline went everywhere. And so they quickly responded to all the outlets. Well, no, we deny it. We deny it. This isn't true, blah, 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 blah. And of course, because the media is in their pocket, all these outlets are just bending over. And yes, Blake's response is here as well. I've never seen more people get what they want through the media coverage than these two. It's wild. But Brian Friedman responded to this. This was a letter where they, it should be noted, this was anonymously sourced and they're just abusing us again. And this is categorically false, blah, 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 blah. There's no evidence. Meanwhile, it's not signed by Gottlieb. It's not signed, I swear by, this is false. It was signed by Ezra Hudson, a different lawyer, not from that firm, which was odd to me. It was a big red flag. Well, if you're going to come out so fiercely and deny it, maybe get the lawyer who's being accused to deny it themselves.
Blake Lively's story is far more complex than it first appears. Her lawsuit paints her as a victim of misconduct on set, yet behind the scenes, her influence and authority suggest a more complicated dynamic. Was this simply a case of blurred boundaries, or something intentional? As new revelations surface, the distinction between consent and collaboration becomes increasingly murky, challenging Hollywood's polished narratives. What's the real story? Headlines seldom offer the full picture. With Taylor Swift now involved and contradictions emerging, this case could do more than impact reputations. It may force Hollywood to confront uncomfortable truths and reshape its power structures.